Kataro, she goes by Landi, is the Chief of Staff to the President of the Republic of Palau, marking Ms. Kataro as the first woman and youngest person to hold this position. Prior to this, she served as Secretariat for the Transition Committee of President-elect Sorengel S. Whips, Jr., and Landi has extensive experience in public service. Landi worked for the legislative branch, first for the Senate Ways and Means Committee, then in the House of Delegates as senior legal researcher and senior committee advisor. And in addition to her professional experience, she's been involved in numerous work as a volunteer and serves as an Obama Foundation Asia Pacific leader. Landi holds a Bachelor of Science degree in International Studies with a focus on terrorism and security from the University of Utah, and a Master of Arts degree in Asia Pacific Studies with a focus on China Studies from the National Chen Chi University. Now the fun part. Landi's hobbies include fishing and gardening on the weekends. She can be spotted on any given weekend in a small 16-foot single-engine boat, throwing a line into the water, hoping to catch some fresh fish to have for dinner and to share. She can also be spotted knee-deep in her taro patch on a typical hot Saturday afternoon, planting and harvesting taro. Landi has learned to appreciate more and more what the land and the sea can provide, which is far beyond just a physical sustenance, but provides grounding in culture and continues to cultivate relationships with others. And it's my pleasure. Landi, please join us up here at this podium.
You know what they say, it's not true unless there's a picture to prove it, right? We don't want to still walk out of here saying there is not speaking the truth. Thank you, Darren, for that introduction. I wish I still had the battle scars I showed you when I met you 3 weeks ago in Hawaii. The battle scars have healed, and the stains are gone from the taro patch. If I could ask your indulgence, as I too pay respect in my native tongue to the traditional people of these lands. Rubak Ambassador, Akti mo yang klem, ingat alam erabalwat. Kom gelak ka demem, kom demam, edelmam, arang alang belang harap lulam ligit. Tokuwet sir aja del biyak relav. Dong oklop ang yadal ilalap sini. Dira ka sa dong hotel te ayla e osu sembrang asulir. Arlo ulit tel balu. Raw era buli lakil balu. Almer ilang ang ngam sisi. Adalwil nitki. Lo bangela balu ram bigel. Odak madembrang asulir la rubak. Ertel te ayla. El sabay adal hukmot mak. Iray ngesew. Iraw sisakla. Irakakakla. Ertiano brado ngra'al, al-gila nasa ko klila balwat, madubed, al-moktong yun ira at rohuy. Thank you for allowing me that moment to also pay respect to the people of these lands that we are occupying today. Next week, Sunday, March 5th, will mark 10 years since the unexpected and untimely passing of my father. He was only 56 years old, but at the time had been retired for about 6 years, where he spent many days and many nights, fishing in the ocean. Thank goodness this is not live, I hope. And in the ocean, he gave his last breath. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when we received the phone call that I do not wish upon anybody. that they had seen my father's boat come ashore with nobody on the boat. An hour later, my sister and I were driving to meet up with our mom, where they had assembled a search party. And we received word that they had found my father's lifeless body floating on the water. All I wanted to do at the time, aside from breathe life back into him, was to see his face, to see if I could recognize what he would have experienced those last few minutes before he left this earth. And I'm happy to say that until this day, it continues to give me comfort that he looked peaceful and that he might have even had a slight smile on his face. He left this earth at his happy place, the ocean. I think my mom would be upset that that was his happy place, but that's a different story. Now, why am I sharing this story in a room full of people that I'm only meeting for the first time, and I'm a mess right now? See, Palau is a small island developing state, but really a large ocean state. You see more blue than you see green when looking at the geopolitical space that is known to be Palau. I grew up in a small, humble home on reclaimed land near a mangrove channel. Literally, the water was my backyard. We survived as a family because the ocean provided and the ocean sustained us. I'm the youngest of 5 children. Our father was a mechanic, but also an avid fisherman all his life. His day job as a mechanic did not provide enough for him to meet the needs of his immediate family and support his extended family, like so many Pacific Islanders are expected to do. So he turned to the ocean to provide for us. His skills and traditional knowledge that he was taught as a boy by his father served him well and ensured he could provide for his own family. I certainly benefited. It was his fishing money that paid for my school tuition and paid for my lunches. And so many people questioned, how is it that a family of 5, supported by parents who had only minimal education, are they able to afford private school education for their kids? And many days, I felt out of place with my peers because we could only afford the needs and not the wants. I could not keep up with the latest Nintendo or Game Boy cartridge. Austin and Galvin probably know what those are, but many people in this room might not. If it was in today's terms, I would not be able to get an iPhone 14, let alone a 12. But to answer that question, how were my parents able to do it? The answer was the ocean. It did not seem like anything significant then, but on any given weekend, when we would go out on the boat, of course to fish, not just to picnic, anything that was spotted on the surface of the water that did not look like it belonged, warranted my father to turn the boat back around so we can see if it was marine debris, plastic, or just driftwood. These were rare sightings then. Unfortunately, they are more often now. And in a boat full of people with the current gas prices, people frown on you. When you're like, let's turn the boat around. We need to go see if that's a plastic bottle, a plastic cup that we need to pick up. But it's something that I always feel obligated to do. It feels like a personal responsibility, and it's unnatural to just ignore it. And we have to do it because it's the right thing to do, even when no one is looking. Caring for our ocean is not just a responsibility. The work that each of you do is not a chore. It's not just work. The act itself may yield results that advance education, that advance careers, but anyone is capable of that. What's important that I hope I can convey through my story, through my father's story, of his life and of his passing, is the passion, the heart behind the act. The work we all do, be it the work done through the Office of the President, be it through the Canals Fellowship, be it through the 34 Sea Grant programs, or perhaps, like my father, through his everyday actions to fish sustainably and rid the ocean of plastic debris. May we do it all with a heart to serve. It is more than just a responsibility. It's a commitment to humanity. And you being here this evening is not by accident or coincidence. Perhaps it's an opportunity for all of us to renew our commitment to serve. And it is not easy. You will face challenges, and you will have days that you feel defeated. But look around you. In those moments, when you might feel alone in carrying this burden, and you begin to question why, remember the people around this room, and remember, you are not alone, and that this is for us all to carry together. We do not work to ensure a healthy and vibrant ocean just for the sake of doing it. I dare say, I think we can all agree that we do it because it provides for us, the people. And so I ask that you remember me and the people that I represent standing before you. I stand here not for myself, but on behalf of the many Pacific Islanders that know only of the ocean as their be-all and all. The ocean is both our means and our end, like it was for my father. The vast oceans do not know the imaginary lines we have drawn, separating one from the other, the north from the south, the east from the west. It is free-flowing and therefore should serve as a reminder that our actions do not only impact us, but others as well, and we need to work together. In Palau, we have led many conservation efforts that have put us on the map, but our efforts are only as good as our neighbors. And as we gather here this evening, a similar gathering is in New York to discuss how we can better conserve and sustainably use the marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, because we all know that what happens in the high seas also has an impact on our national waters and vice versa. Conservation in Palau is not a new thing. Traditionally, we practiced the bul, a traditional resource management tool that ensured resources were extracted sustainably and at times closed off so as to allow the ocean to rejuvenate and replenish itself. Today, because of the systems of government that we are in, these same practices are enacted by statutory authority to ensure implementation and enforcement. We have established the marine protected areas in the nearshore area, including the Palau National Marine Sanctuary, in an effort to ensure that the ocean continues to provide for people. It is about balancing protection and production for a resilient environment for generations to come. This is an effort that cannot be undertaken by only one person or one entity alone. As such, President Whips of Palau convened what is called the Kaberal Task Force. Kaberal is Palauan for a traditional war canoe. The Kaberal requires people in it paddling in unison in the same direction. This Kaberal Task Force is comprised of government, NGOs, traditional leaders, civil society, academia, philanthropies, and the private sector. And the basic objective of this task force was to assess the Palau National Marine Sanctuary that closed off 80% of our exclusive economic zone as a no-take zone. Basically to assess where we are, where we were, where we are, and where we can go. The task force came back with a recommendation that a marine spatial planning exercise be undertaken, where indigenous knowledge and science go hand in hand, complementing one another, not one over the other. And the consultation process being inclusive of all the different stakeholders of the ocean, but most importantly, with only one goal in mind: for the people. Without these efforts, we risk loss of resources and loss of environment. And these losses, for an island nation of 20,000 people like Palau, it can mean the loss of language, loss of an entire culture, and eventually, loss of an entire people. But like the vast blue we see on this map, let the oceans connect us and not divide us. To conclude, may I take you back to grade school and do a little bit of show and tell, and to pay respect to the diversity within the Pacific that I proudly represent this evening. The Pacific Island region can be grouped into three main groupings: Polynesia, Melanesia, and Micronesia. And I'm going to step over and do a little model turn, and then come back and explain. The dress I wear is a Cook Islands design print, and this beautiful flower is from Samoa, representing Polynesia. These earrings are from the beautiful island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia. This handbag is from the beautiful island of Fiji, representing Melanesia. And finally, this necklace that I wear is made of traditional Palauan mani beads, and with it, a rich history of my clan and my family that I got through my father to care for until it is passed along. Now, while I may not meet the criteria for Miss Universe, I hope that what I have described can show that a weaving together of our differences can create something beautiful. Sorry guys, that's not the end. That is what I see this evening before me. An ocean of people committed to doing what's right because it's the right thing to do. I stand here humbly and thank you all for finding value in the ocean, that which is the source of life for all of us. For my fellow Pacific Islanders and many people like my father, it is our only means for survival. Finally, I would like to end with a chant to pay tribute to who I am, but also to appeal to you all. Oh, the swap. Oh, the swakle.
Oh, we.
Ema malasoya. Alirulebe makit. Yartal bogale. Engungil yardoliya. This short chant is about the canoe, or the Rabe. That we cannot set sails in two different directions. To travel, we need to set sail in one direction and paddle in unison. Our presence here tonight assures me that we have set sail in one direction. And so I appeal to each and every one of you. Take a spot in our abeanda, in our canoe, so we can paddle together in unison towards a sustainable future where our oceans are resilient and healthy, and all people thrive today and tomorrow. Thank you, Mansuka.